Let's take a simple, no bullshit view as to whether or not you should teach your children together or one-on-one. Maybe you have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids. Maybe you're a teacher and you're trying to decide whether you should teach your class whole group or small group or one-on-one. No matter what the situation is, there is a mathematical way that we can decide if we should teach them all together or one-on-one. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So let's pretend that we've got 2 kids and we have 10 minutes. We can split it up any way we want. We can say, okay, let's do 10 minutes with both together. Let's do 6 minutes with this one, 4 minutes here. Let's give them both 5 minutes, right? We first have to decide how we want to split that time. So let's look at the 10-minute situation together. If you have 10 minutes together, it means both kids are getting 10 minutes. Child A gets 10 minutes and child B gets 10 minutes because they're working on it together. You set the timer, 10 minutes goes by, they both get the lesson, okay? You can do it one-on-one too. You can say, you know what? I'm gonna divide that 10 minutes into 5 minutes for child A and 5 minutes for child B. Initially, it looks like together is going to be the better choice than one-on-one. But the key is not how much total time you spend, it's how much time on task for each child. So let's go back to the first situation where we teach them together. Let's say that one child is working on letter sounds and the other child is working on blending. If you work with them together and you're showing them the letter sounds, that means that the first child, all 10 minutes are good for them. All 10 minutes are great because you're doing letter sounds. You're doing exactly what they need. They get 10 good minutes. The second child, nothing that's helpful. They needed blending. What you did was letter sounds. So by working together, you gave one child a lot of what they need. You gave the other child very little of what they need, okay? So let's say that you split it up. You say, you know what? Let's work together, but let's do half letter sounds and half blending. So in this case, you're giving each of the kids a little bit of what they need. You're saying, okay, let's split it up. And for the first kid, let's give them some of what they need. And then let's have them just kind of there for the rest of it. And for the second kid too, let's give them some of what they need. And they're just kind of there for the rest of it. This might be how you approach teaching, but I'm going to caution you against having your kids sit through stuff that they don't need. That's going to create a resentful attitude towards learning. It's going to be boring. And instead of getting like a good 5 minutes out of them, you might actually start to get less and less time from each kid because they're sitting there bored. They're doing a lot of stuff they don't want to do, and they're waiting for their brother or their sister or their cousin to catch up. Or they're feeling behind. Maybe they're the same age or similar age, and one can do something that the other one can't. There's not a lot of places, there's not a lot of ways where you are going to win by doing it together unless they need the exact same thing. They need the same thing. So maybe they both need the exact same sounds. They both need to work on s, k, and eh. If that's the case, 10 minutes together might be great for you. But generally, kids have different needs, and splitting it out one-on-one is going to help you reach each child's needs. Now, let's take a look at the one-on-one scenario. So let's say that you spend less total time with each kid, and you give this kid 5 minutes and this kid 5 minutes. Well, if you know what this kid is working on, then 100% of the time, all of the time is spent doing exactly what that child needs. It's spent on the letter sounds. And then you can look at this kid and say, you know what? That kid needs to work on their blending. And again, 100% of the time is spent on exactly what they need. Not only that, you're able to look at their behavior. You're able to look at their focus. You're able to look at their motivation and reach them exactly with what they need. So this kid might need a little bit more encouragement than this kid. Together, that's going to be challenging. One-on-one, you hit exactly what they need. The only situation in which together is going to be one-on-one is if you're able to spend a significantly greater period of time working together. Maybe splitting the kids apart just doesn't make sense. You don't have the ability to have one kid wait while the other kid works. In that case, you can spend more time, right? More time with them together and say, let's hope that even though this time is not going to be as effective as the time spent one-on-one, maybe if I spend enough time total, I can get 6 good minutes for this one, 7 good minutes for that one. Maybe. But again, all this time spent that's not on their level is going to affect what you get from each of them. My recommendation, okay, number 1, because with anything related to parenting, we have to balance what is practical versus what is optimal. So let's start with what is practical. My recommendation is to think about what works with your schedule. If you can't split your kids one-on-one, if for some reason you can't get this one away while you work with this one, what's practical? It's practical to work with them at the same time. If you literally can't split them, you're gonna have to put them together and you're gonna have to make it work as best as you can. But what is optimal is working with them individually. Even if that means you're spending less total time with your kids, you're gonna be giving each of them better time, more time on task with exactly what they need. So unless you have this much time together and this much time one-on-one, that one-on-one time is going to be better for you and for your little ones. That's what's going to be optimal. Now, I know that this is a little bit of like a mathematical kind of scientific way to think about it, but we can think about it just with common sense, okay? Any teacher, every teacher would give up a lot to have the kind of one-on-one time that a parent has with their child. I know when I was a teacher, I used to take my kids out of excellence classes. I would pull them out of music or out of PE or out of the computer time. I would just pull one kid to be able to get a little bit of extra time with them because I knew that being 1 out of 25 kids was a tough situation and it was hard for me to reach them with what they needed. Some kids were higher, some kids were lower. Some kids needed more, some kids needed less. So I had to go out of my way to use my planning time, my time off, my lunch time, take time during lunch to try and get this one-on-one time with them. As the parent or caregiver of multiple kids, I'm not saying it is easy. I am saying it is important to try and get this one-on-one time with your child. As the teacher, it's going to be incredibly challenging. As the parent, you can do it. That one-on-one time is going to be not only good for your relationship with your child, it's going to be incredible for their learning and their growth. And this is why parents have something that most teachers don't have. This is why parents can help their kids learn faster in some situations than schools, than trained professionals. It's not because you're the best teacher in the world. It's because you can hit your child with literally exactly what they need for every minute you're in front of them. So, what's practical for you is going to vary family to family. If you're a teacher, maybe you don't have one-on-one time, but maybe you can pull small groups. If you're a parent, maybe you have 3 kids. Maybe you can give this one time by themselves and these 2 times together. You got to be practical about it. But the best thing, what is optimal, is to give each child exactly what they need for as long as possible. So I hope this is helpful for you in thinking through how to work with multiple kids and super straightforward. And if you have other questions, please feel free to let me know and I'll be happy to answer. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.